Hi guys, my name is Julia and I'm the manager of Up to You agency. We help English teachers to relocate to Vietnam and China and teach English there. And today we are going to have an interview with Andrew. He used to be an English teacher in Vietnam. After that, he moved to Israel more than a year ago. And with a cold mind, he can share his experience. How was the teaching in Vietnam? Did he enjoy it? How it was for him without prior experience? How much money did he earn and was managed to put aside? And how much did he travel around Vietnam and in Vietnam while he was working as an English teacher in Vietnam? Right now, Andrew started his big trip of 1 year of hitchhiking from Uzbekistan to Madagascar. If you're gonna be in this country, so you're living there and you would like to catch up with Andrew and share your local experience there, you're always welcome. All details in the description below. Let's go.
Hello, Julia.
So, did you have any prior experience of teaching English for kids?
Actually, I had just a little experience because I was a private teacher not for a long time, and teaching English in Vietnam was my first big experience in teaching.
Super. And how did you decide to go there?
I wanted to try this for a long time, but you and your company just pushed me to go, and for this, I really thank you. Yeah, I wanted to try something new, to live in a different country with different people and just teach somewhere not in my home country, abroad. So yeah, that was my decision and I didn't regret it at all.
Did you had some challenges? Like what was the most difficult part?
The most difficult part in teaching in Vietnam, for example, is that you have to keep children quiet. Engaged, not engaged. They are always engaged, but not in teaching. They are they are very noisy. They're very loud, and you have to pay attention to this. That you always have to be the center of the class, and eyes of everyone should be only on you. So that was the most difficult part for me because you have to, yes, keep them engaged in the lesson.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you worked in Ho Chi Minh City in public school because it's a lot of students in your class, right?
I had around 45 students in every class, yeah.
Did you have any assistant?
Yes, I had few teacher assistants, but sometimes they do not speak English well, or they just don't want to work with you and just help you. I had bad teacher assistants.
How did you manage to work with 40 kids?
I used to work with kids. I was a camp leader. I knew how to keep them engaged.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. Like if you go to summer camps and now like this experience with
are always kids, no matter in what country they are and what age are they.
Which parts were most like you were most amazed in Vietnam?
Teaching or at all?
Yeah, at all, in teaching as well.
Well, I think I wasn't used to traffic jams because I have never seen so many cars, motorbikes, and people in the same place and going in the same direction that I'm going. That was kind of annoying. That got on my nerves, but yeah, I used to go and just without thinking of all these people around me in this jam. And the most rewarding part, I think, is food because I could find my com tam that I really liked in every corner. I ate it with a double meat, so I think around $2 for a portion.
And okay, traffic jam was yeah, it's a culture shock. What else?
I think people in the streets who just without any English skills, they just do not communicate with you in English, only in Vietnamese. And at first I just couldn't understand how I'm supposed to communicate with people. But with a little knowledge of Vietnamese, that became better, and yeah.
Yeah, actually, like we're inspired by you because most of our teachers, they don't study any Vietnamese, but you studied a little bit and practice with Vietnamese. It's so good.
I was able to communicate for hours. That was good. I could I couldn't say a lot. I couldn't explain a lot, but I understood a bit. And with my old gesticulation, our conversation was really fresh, and that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like traffic jam is big, but at the same time, like they don't go very fast, like 30 kilometers per hour, 40.
Yeah, but when you travel by motorbike in the evening, it's better because the weather is cool and the air is more or less. But in the daytime, the heat all these gases, all these smells around you.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, from a money point of view, is it was enough for you, like the salary and the cost of living?
It was the best time when I lived in Vietnam, yeah, because I earned a lot and I lived on a really small amount of money. Usually my salary was around $2,000 to $2,500, and I spent for my living, for renting my bike, for food, for having fun, around seven, maybe $800. All money that I had left, I could save them, and that was awesome.
The quality of life which you have, because you have a lot of money which just put aside. And as you shared, like your teacher assistant who was able to speak English, but local salary is much less.
Yeah, she had like 7 times less than I am. So yeah.
It's crazy. I just wanted to mention that you had after an experience of working in Israel, teachers and people there are thinking, oh, should I move to another country? Or maybe I should move to Europe. Quality of life in Europe, which you spend for life, and like you cannot put so much money aside. And you are much less like appreciated, because teacher in Vietnam, it's something like, oh, to be respected when like in another countries.
If I had a time machine, I would go back then. I decided to go to Israel and tell myself not to do this, because working in Israel is really hard, and it's not teaching. Yes, it's mostly some physical work, and if I had a chance, I would stay longer in Vietnam. That's for sure. In my personal experience, working in Israel is not so good as teaching English in Vietnam.
Compared to efforts which you put and your time and the outcome?
In Vietnam, I could afford myself everything. I could buy anything I want, eat, drink, go somewhere. And in Israel, I could only cook food, stay at home, because every activity outdoors is really expensive.
How about the fun part? Like, is it a lot of things you can get engaged in Vietnam, and about going for dates with girl, and about traveling in Vietnam and around?
Going on the dates, yeah, is a fun part. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of dates with Vietnamese girls, but I will do my best next time when I come. The fun part in Vietnam that you have a lot of different nature around you. For example, from Ho Chi Minh City, you can go to Dalat. That's just a night ride, and enjoy mountains, cool weather, completely different nature around you. If you want to go to the sea, it's just a few hours by motorbike and you can already swim in the sea.
And you managed to teach for a while in the north of Vietnam, and it was completely different experience.
I taught there for a month. It's not really different, but people speak there not the same Vietnamese language as they speak in the south. And I think people are more quiet. They're not so loud, they're not so noisy. They really listen to you when you speak to them. I think because they don't have a lot of fun around them, and English lessons with a foreign teacher is fun for them, and they try not to miss it.
Yeah, but it was a small town next to China border. Like if to compare like mentalities and way of living, how would you describe it?
I wouldn't say that it's different from all other Vietnam. They didn't speak Chinese, so no idea.
But I remember you're like, oh, the food in the north is better.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was very curious about your experience, how you managed last month. Like you didn't pay for accommodation and you stayed for language exchange, or how?
I found an English homestay. They told me, if you teach 2 lessons a week to people that live here, you can live in our homestay without paying for it. I taught 2 lessons a week for 1 hour and a half for a lesson to people that just live and pay for accommodation there. That wasn't a lesson. We just spoke English. We had different topics, and I explained them maybe the parts that they didn't get. And I didn't pay for living. Yeah, that was a good part.
That's amazing. So per week, how much time did you spend?
3 hours per week.
How did you spend your free time?
I tried to go to different places, but I didn't have a lot of days off, and mostly I just travel around Ho Chi Minh City on my motorbike, trying to find interesting places, interesting restaurants, some locations that I've never been to before. Absorb the Vietnamese culture the most I can.
But when you managed to go to Cambodian trip by
Mhm.
motorbike and other Asian trips, it was like a holiday, yeah? It was New Year holiday.
Yes. I was in Cambodia for 2 weeks and I traveled through the whole country. I was on an island there and that was cool. Yeah, Cambodia is a nice place, completely different comparison to Vietnam, and it's really worth staying there and exploring the country.
Do you know how much did you spend on that trip?
Around maybe $300.
How about your other Asian trip when you catched Komodo Islands and so on? Where did you go at that time?
That was in Indonesia. I spent in Indonesia around 1 month, and I was in Bali. Yes, I traveled to these Komodo Islands. It was a boat, 2 days boat trip. That was really cool. That was my dream from my childhood, and really cool. I visited Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Brunei. It was a little bit more expensive, but still it worth every cent that I spent there.
Do you remember how much and how long did it take? Like
For 4 months, and I spent around $1,500 or $2,000. I think $2,000 for everything, including
Yeah.
flights and yeah.
But it's kind of it was your month's salary, and you lived after 4 months.
Yeah. I could easily afford it. So yeah.
And it was summer holiday. Like your school didn't work for summer.
Yes,
After
I didn't work in the summer. I had 4 months because in September we also didn't work. Yeah, so I had 4 months and I just traveled and enjoyed my living abroad.
But now, since you left Vietnam, you see yourself coming back there, right?
Of course, because I didn't travel to the north, so I really want to come back to travel again in the country to teach English again for a month or two, because this experience I really want to repeat.
But you think it was enough time for you to travel and so on, or did you feel too much abandoned to a place and it takes so much of your time?
Well, my goal was to earn a lot of money, so I worked from the morning till the evening. But if you work just in the morning, you can still live there, afford everything you want, and save money. Not a lot, but save them. Still, you can save them and enjoy your life around you. But if you want to work hard, yeah, that means that you have less free time, and you should know this. My friends, they taught English 2 hours a day. They still had money for renting a house, for paying for food. So
Yeah.
2 hours a day is enough for living in Vietnam.
And now you have plans to make a huge trip.
I'm already on my way. I decided to hitchhike to Madagascar from Uzbekistan. That's gonna take me a year.
And which countries are you gonna visit on the way?
I counted, it's around 27, 28 countries. It's countries in Central Asia like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Armenia, Georgia, Azerbaijan. Then it's a turn for Afghanistan, Pakistan, Turkey, and then African countries from the north until the Indian. And I finish in South Africa, and then I will try to find my way somehow without paying money to Madagascar.
And last one, what would you advise people who are considering going to Vietnam, who have some doubts, is it for them or is not for them?
I think you should keep in mind that going to Vietnam is a life-changing experience, because you wouldn't get this from anywhere else. You should just go, try this, and see how life can be different from your own city, from your own country. And that I cannot even describe how many aspects of life were open to me after this experience, after teaching English in Vietnam. So you should try. No matter how many doubts you have or how many fears in your head, just do it and you definitely make it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I truly believe it's life-changing. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you, Julia.
See you next time. You can always
See you next
follow
time.
and text to Andrew in the description below. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.